In an apocalyptic world overrun by the undead, we bring you the last news broadcast known to this grim, dying world. We report the news to prepare you for your inevitably painful demise. Will we survive another day, or will the human race end with this broadcast? This is Catching Z's, hosted by Chance Dangers. Whoa. That intro is so depressing. Let's do something more lively. That's better. Isn't that much more cheerful? You're all probably still going to die though. But it's not the end of the world. Oh wait, it is. But at least we got a more cheerful intro. This is Chance Dangers, living dangerously because I have no other choice. Welcome to Catching Z's, the best and only news broadcast in what's left of the world, where our goal is to bring you the news today because tomorrow we'll probably all be dead. Thank you so much for tuning in. I don't know who will be listening to this broadcast. For all we know, everyone else is dead. If you happen to be a flesh bag, please don't eat me. That would be quite rude. During our last broadcast, I warned citizens of Derminus to stay away from the luminous green fog that had appeared in the valley close to our fair town. That warning is still in effect. This fog continues to grow in size and now fills the entire valley. The spherical green fog can be seen clearly from Derminus. I have been told that the Derminus Militia has sent 3 brave souls to investigate. None have been heard from again. Governor Harry Dumas has decided to rename Crescent Valley. It is now called Weird Valley. He has also prohibited all travel into Weird Valley. The Derminus Militia has found some new equipment that they are planning to use to investigate the luminous green fog. Since none of us know how to use this equipment correctly, General Bonner stated that he plans to just point it at the luminous green fog and hope for the best. I will keep all of you faithful listeners informed. Let's move on to a totally unrelated topic, but one that is very personal to me. Emily Frederick's 21st birthday party is set for later tonight. It wasn't difficult to decide what to wear, since I only have one outfit. I really need some new clothes. Perhaps some of you faithful listeners could find me a new outfit next time you're out scavenging supplies. That would be amazing. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to the party. There will not be any booze. There will not be any cake. There will only be the constant fear of being ripped apart by a carnivorous, flesh-ridden beast. We should really start throwing our parties within the Derminus walls, instead of in the large field just outside of the city. But then, where would we burn our huge bonfires? I saw Emily earlier today. She looks so pretty with her red t-shirt and rusty-colored pants. It's amazing at how rotten blood can change the color of any outfit. Who needs dye when you have walking bags of flesh constantly trying to rip you apart? Emily came in earlier to say hello. She still has no idea that I'm throwing her a surprise birthday party tonight. That is both good news and bad news. The good news is that she will be pleasantly surprised, which makes me happy. The bad news is she doesn't listen to Catching Z's, which makes me sad. The man pointing a gun at my head told me that she cringed because of the way I smelled. But I really think she was winking at me. Let's move on to everyone's favorite segment. You guessed it. Whack Attack of the Month. Today's Whack Attack of the Month is brought to you by the Derminus Militia, who would like to remind you that they are still looking for volunteers. Tell the masked man that you would like to volunteer before he throws you into the pit of death. Today's Whack Attack of the Month came from none other than our Governor Harry Dumas. Harry stood in front of the crowd, giving a speech as to why the Derminus Militia should answer to the newly elected government. His audience seemed to disagree, hissing and gnarling at his speech. It was only then that Harry realized that on his way to the plaza, he turned right instead of left and actually left Derminus. Harry looked onto the crowd of undead to whom he had just given his speech, replied to their gnashing of teeth with but 2 words, and you know what those words are, and then tripped over his own feet, rolling down the large hill. 2 of the creatures followed, falling down and breaking their crowns. Harry does love to dig holes for absolutely no reason.
This time, it seemed to pay off. Is this man not a heroic governor? I think so.
Before we continue with the news, I have a quick message for all of you amazing listeners. Don't become Grandma's last meal. Become a Patreon instead by supporting us at patreon.com/catchingz. The link is in the description. We have breaking news about the Luminous Green Fog.
The Derminus Militia managed to set up advanced equipment that they scavenged during the recent supply run. Now let me point out that our militia isn't exactly technologically sound, but I'm proud to say that they did manage to point it at the Luminous Green Fog. Man pointing a gun at my head told me that they have started getting weird readings from inside the fog. It seems to mostly be a bunch of mixed radio signals, but some of the readings are quite confusing. Something about a disease that causes madness, but it only seems to affect people born in March. There's also mixed talk of a game that's apparently played using thrones. Whoever's on the other side of this luminous green fog seems to also be dealing with their own invasion of undead, because there's a lot of talk about building walls. Maybe they could teach our leaders how to build an effective wall. Seriously, we could do better. Cardboard and duct tape just is not cutting it. We plan to try deciphering some of those signals and we'll let you know what we find. It seems to me like there might be other people living inside of the luminous green fog. The Derminus Militia is making sure to keep a close eye on it to make sure that no one tries to invade our fair town. So far, no one has tried to make contact. I wonder if they can hear our broadcasts. If anyone from this other town can hear me, we mean you no harm. I would very much like to hear from you. Governor Harry Dumas has also asked me to remind everyone, stay away from the luminous green fog. Before continuing with the broadcast, here's a quick message from the Derminus Militia. The Derminus Militia would like to remind you that they are still looking for volunteers. Would you like to join the Derminus Militia? Would you like to hunt flesh bags? By becoming a Patreon, you don't get to do any of that stuff. But you do get to become an honorary member of Derminus, gain access to an exclusive Catching Z newsletter, and a whole lot more. Visit patreon.com/Catching Z. The link is in the description. It has been exactly 1 year to this date since I witnessed the first poor chap eating that other poor chap. In that moment, I really regretted that tequila shot. Somehow, I managed to survive though. So yay! That brings another thought to mind. I don't know which is the less fortunate, the eater or the devoured. Those are the only types of philosophical questions that we have left in the world today. I had a peaceful sleep last night. I slept right through the flesh bag invasion that claimed the lives of 12 of our dear citizens this morning. Officials are uncertain where this horde of foul beasts came from. Seriously, they can't figure out that the freaking problem is patching those damn holes with duct tape and cardboard. Is our government being run by idiots? I think something fishy is going on. The man pointing a gun at my head has just informed me that nothing fishy is going on and that our dear listeners should forget what I just said. Rant over. Moving on to other news. Yesterday, our brave men and women of the Derminus Militia went on a much-needed supply run. We needed food. We needed water. We needed a slinky to test the stairs outside the studio. Doesn't everyone love a slinky? I know I do. I got bored and straightened my last slinky. What was I thinking? Stupid. I must admit that I'm not feeling so great today. The oatmeal that I had for breakfast is not agreeing with me. Something might have been wrong with it. I can't remember, but is oatmeal supposed to be crunchy? Would someone mind stopping by and answering that question for me? Because I would really like to know. Thank you, dear listeners. Here's a quick message from our sponsors. The next segment of Catching Z's is brought to you by Sony, who would like to remind you that when you are being eaten alive, make believe that you are not being eaten alive. It won't make a difference, but at least you die knowing that PlayStations used to be awesome. This is a pre-recorded message for my convenience. If you are hearing this message, then I'm either bleeding all over the desk because man pointing a gun to my head got trigger happy, screaming in agony while being eaten alive, or using the bathroom. Hopefully, it's the latter. The Derminus Militia would like to remind you that if life gives you a lemon, eat it, because that's all you're getting this week. Hello, dear listeners. I'm back, live on the air. Emily Fredericks just left the studio. She was kind enough to stop by and answer my question. Apparently, oatmeal is not supposed to be crunchy. In Derminus, our selection of food is quite limited. What we do get tastes a lot like dog food. In fact, I'm beginning to think that the Derminus Militia is mixing dog food in with our normal food so that it lasts longer. But this is only a theory. The man pointing a gun at my head has just asked me to assure our fair citizens of Derminus that your militia would never feed you dog food. It's cat food. Thank you for the clarification, man pointing a gun at my head. Let's get back to our story about the Derminus Militia supply run that happened yesterday. Citizens waved as General Bonner led his brave men and women out of Derminus, not in jeeps or cars, not even on motorcycles. The Derminus Militia chooses to ride bicycles on all supply runs. For one, they don't make as much noise. Secondly, they allow for great mobility. And finally, they have a basket on them which provides a great method for transporting supplies. The only downside is that the only bikes they could find are pink, which is a serious hit on their masculinity. I love it though, because pink is the greatest color. They rode into town on their bikes, turned the corner, and surprised a handful of undead roaming the streets. Yet more proof that bicycles are the best method of transportation today. Then that advantage was given up when one of the newer recruits fired his gun in a complete facepalm moment. Seriously, what a moron. I must admit that seeing a man on a pink bicycle shooting a flesh bag is now on my bucket list of things to do before I die. Scratch that. I want to be the man on the pink bicycle. The local pharmacy was their first stop. The shelves were overturned, containers all empty, the meds all gone, but all was not lost. They managed to get this wicked awesome yellow yo-yo, which is now sitting on my desk. Ah, the yo-yo, the best invention of the modern age. I had to give up a week's worth of rations, but it was totally worth it. Hunger is only temporary, but a yo-yo lasts a lifetime. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Back to our story. Their next stop was a local grocery store because, let's face it, mixing in cat food to extend our reserves just isn't cutting it. General Bonner took the lead as they entered the damp, dark building. He wondered if there were any undead inside. He wondered if they would find food and water. He wondered why he forgot to bring his flashlight. Bonner then felt a sudden discomfort as his face collided with the wall. Footsteps were heard looming in the darkness. General Bonner held up a hand signal to relay that his group should be cautious. Then he remembered that it was completely dark and no one could see him. "Does anyone have a freaking flashlight?" the general howled. A beam of light penetrated the darkness, and the mangled face of the shop's former owner was revealed, its flesh barely clinging to its skull. The courageous general then removed his knife, jamming it into the deformed face, and then backed off as blood spewed all over the place. He let off a quirky smile before snatching the flashlight from his subordinate. As he turned and the beam penetrated the darkness, he saw a gang of flesh bags approaching. They hissed, gnarled, and the closest reached out in an attempt to disembowel the general. Bonner showed no fear, casually tossing his subordinate into the gang to distract them long enough for the rest of his team to go on the offensive. The former militiaman screamed as the vicious creatures ripped one of his arms from his body. "'Tis only a flesh wound," Bonner replied as he backed away from the oncoming horde. In an attempt to keep from distracting more of the undead, his men used blunt weapons and blades to take down the oncoming pack. Heads rolled, snapping teeth in a showcase of their sheer toughness. Those damn things just don't die. It took only a few seconds for the Derminus Militia to take down the dozen or so flesh bags. After taking a moment to catch their breath, Bonner ordered his group to spread out and start gathering supplies. Dear listeners, I know what you're asking right now. I know you're all asking the same thing I was. Did they remember to get my slinky? Nope. They, in fact, did not get my damn slinky. Their excuse was that food and water take precedence, which is why I'm in such a foul mood today. I'm not sure that I even want to continue reporting the news now. I have just been motivated to continue reporting the news by the man pointing a gun at my head. After filling all of their backpacks and baskets with food and supplies, the Derminus Militia took back to the main street. That's when they suddenly heard a rumbling in the distance. A dozen motorcycles all rode into view, manned by bikers wearing dark leather coats. The sunlight glared off of their completely shaven heads, momentarily blinding General Bonner as he looked on. They rode closer, prompting the general to raise his hand in order to prepare his men for the impending attack. The rumbling grew louder as the bikers revved their engines, causing the general's heart to thump twice as fast. Adrenaline pulsed with every breath. Still, he was a soldier, so his nerves were made of steel, and those pulses that come before a fight were focused rather than sporadic. General Bonner found confidence in the fact that their bikes gave them more maneuverability, so he felt they actually had an advantage. "Attack!" signaled that it was time to, attack. The motorcycles and bikes were on a collision course. The scene was described as something from one of those movies that was proudly rejected. As both sides were ready to collide, the biker gang suddenly vanished into thin air. General Bonner stopped, his jaw drooping. How could an entire gang just disappear? Is there some kind of phenomenon at work here, or were the Derminus Militia just hallucinating? The Derminus Militia have put their most brilliant minds to trying to figure out how a biker gang could just vanish into thin air. Their group of advisors keep telling them that vanishing bikers is just not possible. Experts, if you are listening to this broadcast, allow me to add my 2 cents. 1 year ago, you would have all sworn that it was not possible for people to die, yet still walk around and eat other people. Open your freaking minds. Vanishing people is completely possible. I even got a thumbs up from the man pointing a gun at my head. A man was accused of breaking into our storeroom Wednesday afternoon when Grandma Baker was on duty. He pulled out a gun and pointed it directly in her direction, reminiscent of man pointing a gun at my head. I think he believed that I was just an old woman. I thought that I was going to die, so I shot him. The would-be robber failed to realize that Grandma Baker isn't an ordinary grandmother. She might be old, but that woman has been battle-hardened by numerous encounters of the undead variety. She held up the pistol and fired it directly into the man's chest. The echoing sound didn't even faze her. The robber grabbed his side as the blood gushed, trying to stagger away, but Grandma Baker was having none of it. She fired 2 more shots, but they missed. He managed to escape. The Derminus Militia has said that since that happened, a man fitting Grandma Baker's description sought medical attention, saying that he shot himself accidentally. Although they believe his lie was to cover up an attempted robbery, I personally think he was just embarrassed that a 65-year-old lady had gotten the best of him. The Derminus Militia has since taken him into custody. His trial is set for later this afternoon. Grandma Baker said in a statement, "Do I feel any regret? Absolutely not. He tried to kill me." This case took a turn for the weird, as if it wasn't already weird enough, as further investigation revealed that the robber was armed with only a large cane. Experts blamed Grandma Baker's age for such poor eyesight. The Derminus Militia decided not to charge the woman with assault due to the lax gun laws in Derminus. The man, whose name we will not release, has since been treated for his wounds at the small tent that we call a hospital. General Bonner has said that he will be charged with attempted robbery with a cane, a charge that is punishable by death. Believe it or not, this isn't the first time it's happened. "I'm sick over it," Grandma Baker said in an interview. "I really wanted to kill him. I just wanted him dead." Grandma Baker has shot at least 6 other men during her time in Derminus. This is the only one to have survived. Grandma Baker finished this interview by saying that she is not feeling really perky today. But does a grandma ever feel perky? Man pointing a gun at my head just shook his head no.
Breaking news. The Derminus Militia has confirmed that there is indeed another world behind the Luminous Green Fog. Governor Harry Dumas has named this world Otherworld. The man pointing a gun at my head has just informed me that my allotted broadcast time has elapsed, so we'll have to end this broadcast. I will write more about this other world on our website so you can learn more. Just visit catchingz.com. Stay tuned next time for more Catching Z. This is Chance Dangers, reminding you all to live dangerously. Live vicariously. Just live. Thank you.